the official national mourning period. But you remember that on Thursday, President Hakainde Hichilema cancelled the period of national mourning. He said, and the family was open to negotiations, but that final address on Thursday, I think, was a tipping point, because after the president cancelled the period of national mourning, the family subsequently had its own announcement in which it said the environment remained hostile, the terms and negotiated settlement were violated, and that they were considering putting to rest the remains of the late president, Zambia's sixth president, Dr. Edgar Chagwa Lungu, in South Africa. This greeted our country into shock, but since Thursday, truly nothing has been done. In fact, the negotiating team, we saw it return, and they were giving briefs to both Secretary to Cabinet and to the President. From the point of government, it looked like that was a marked end of the road, despite calls by many stakeholders and the people of Zambia that there should be an urgent second engagement. You remember that Bakili Muluzi, who is part of regional leaders that have been involved in this matter, issued a statement, a hopeful statement, in which he stated that Lusaka was dispatching a new team of negotiators to see if the remains of the late president could still be buried in Lusaka, Zambia. It was not to be. No negotiating team arrived. I think the only person that the family heard from was Bishop Joshua Banda, who is president of the Pentecostal Assemblies of God and Pentecostal Assemblies of God of Africa and North Mid Assemblies of God resident senior pastor. He's the one that called the family, but they didn't know whether he was in this time in his capacity as a government representative or not. The other day, there were fervent rumors that President Hakainde Hichilema traveled to South Africa. I think people that on Great East Road had seen sirens and convoy, but that was the arrival of Honorable Ronald Lamalo, the Minister of International Relations and Cooperation from South Africa, who arrived that evening in Lusaka and at the meeting the following day with the president. This was the outcome. Let's see if we have the video of the president at State House with the minister from South Africa. Just give me a minute, a second. Yeah, here is a video. Thank you.
Lamora from South Africa, in charge of international relations. We're very delighted that President Ramaphosa has sent the minister and his delegation to allow us to have a conversation, a decent one for that matter, in resolving the challenge that we are faced with. The country is aware of the challenge. We don't have to reiterate that. Our wish has been very clear that we would like the mortal remains of President Lungu, our sixth president, to be buried in his home country, Zambia, and not in any other country. And I think these are the issues amongst many we've discussed. We are grateful to President Ramaphosa for his graciousness, his government, the people of South Africa, for the courtesies that they extended to us, starting with the medical facilities of our sixth president, and then the demise and the subsequent, honors that they accorded or ended or agreed to accord to our President Lungu. On the Wednesday, we were supposed to repatriate the body, and we also have apologized to the President and the people of South Africa for the inability to exclude that issue. And if we continue seeking a solution, a civilized solution, I must say, the two sister countries, private countries, we're one people, South Africans and Zambians people. We have different laws that apply in our countries, South Africa and Zambia, but we want to see if we can bridge those issues. And I'm very happy with the meeting we've had, and cordial, quite illustrative, hearing each other out. And I must say also, Minister, I was grateful that you visited a funeral house in South Africa. I think that's the way it should be. Funeral house of our late president. So I think for the media, that's all we can say for now. That Minister will be carrying our message back to President Ramaphosa.
From this media interview, today we woke up with unbelievable interviews. Unbelievable reports from newspapers. The Daily Mail screamed, that South Africa has agreed with President Hakainde Hichilema. Even when we could see the video and the details provided, South Africa did not agree with Zambia. We must make it very, very clear. It is a wish of all of us that the late president's remains must be rest in Zambia. That is a wish of the family. That is a wish of President Hakainde Hichilema, and that's a wish of South Africa. There is no one who's celebrating that the remains of the late president must lay elsewhere other than Zambia. There's no one. But there have been very difficult challenges that have necessitated that this crisis be put to rest in this manner, where the mortal remains of the late president, President Edgar Chagwa Lungu, will be put to rest in South Africa. It's a sad reality. But we've been assured that one day the remains of the late president will come back to Lusaka, Zambia. So the newspapers, as usual, in their sycophancy ways, began to report that South Africa had said President Edgar Lungu must lie in Zambia. They were celebratory, like now a deadlock has come. President Lungu will not be allowed to be buried in South Africa. That was the interpretation. If you listen to ZNBC, you saw Times, even our brothers at News Diggers also said South Africa has agreed with Zambia. We all agree the remains of the late president must lay in Zambia. But the circumstances so far have necessitated that the late president will be put to rest in South Africa on Wednesday, 25th June 2025. Wednesday, the day after tomorrow, 25th June 2025. Like I'm saying, the last we saw of the delegation from government was when the body was not repatriated to Lusaka on Wednesday. I saw that as an opportunity to engage in fresh negotiation and understand what the family was saying. Maybe the negotiating team were afraid to tell President Hakainde Hichilema that, Mr. President, one of the key issues, other than that the remains should be going to Chifwema every day and be brought, to lie in state in Chifwema. The second one is that there's a special request that, Mr. President, there should be distance between you and this funeral. In the program, the family had actually even settled that there was a funeral service for Sunday designated for VVIPs from the region, presidents and former presidents and others. They said, Mr. President, in your official duties as head of state, you will host this funeral. You will host this service on Sunday. But on the other days, they had requested that he should not. What broke the camel's back that day when the remains were supposed to be repatriated was very simple. A fresh program was released a day before that significantly departed from the agreed terms and arrangement. For diplomats like us, when I saw the press conference by the family and government, there were two major flaws. There were two major statements that were read by the family and government. When you are doing a negotiated settlement, you read one document. A lot of effort should have been done that one document was read. That's how it is done. So, but there, it for me immediately demonstrated mistrust. The family felt that their views must be heard through their statement, and government also felt they must be heard through their statement. Remember the opening remarks by the Secretary to Cabinet. He says there are allegations that the sixth president was prevented from coming to South Africa. That is not true. He came with our authority and knowledge, and that we had been communicating with his doctor, Professor Ngoma. So I think government needed to plant that propaganda. But for me, that already showed me that there was serious differences that were being patched up by the joint press conference. Because a joint press conference means a joint statement and both parties sign. But family spokesperson, Honorable Makebi Zulu, read his own strong statement. Secretary to Cabinet, Patrick read government position. And the two were not reconciling. If you could see from the onset, there should have been one statement. And when the remains were not repatriated because of that program, and the special church service at the airport, which the family immediately expressed concern, other than the issue of the road, the negotiators must have come back to the table. We want to akoesa chincha shupa. And like I'm saying, maybe the negotiators were afraid to tell the president, Mr. President, there's a sensitive matter. The family was very careful. The issue of the president never came public until that day. It was never public until the first two sets of talks broke down. But they had been communicating it to the state that there is this special request, there's this special request. I think it was out of respect for the president. You do not want the president, the head of state, screaming headlines that he's been stopped from participating in the funeral. You don't want that. So kudos to the family. They kept that particular request away from the media. And for me, if I was at State House, I would even have arranged a special trip for the president to go to Ghana, to a church service in Ukraine. I could have arranged something for the head of state, maybe if it was embarrassing. But in the subsequent arrangements, the president was allocated a place of mourning where he would host his fellow leaders from the region. That was that Sunday. I think that was a fair compromise to recognize the role of the state, the role of the head of state, and the role of just all that are involved, because President Edgar Lungu was president. He had served our country as president of the Republic of Zambia for 7 years. So you cannot respect President Edgar Lungu without respecting the current holder of the office, who is President Hakainde Hichilema. So the family, I think, bent back. They had been denied an opportunity to take the body to Ndola. They had been denied an opportunity to take the body to Petauke. And other small requests were put aside that let's focus on just putting to rest the late president. So I am condemning the newspapers. Propaganda has a way. Propaganda has a way. It's not sustainable. There's been a toxic environment created by President Hakainde Hichilema's own media team during the entire time. So while he appeared stately, while he called for reconciliation, peace, unity, and the spirit of one Zambia, one nation, his newspapers, online newspapers, his praise singers created such a toxic environment. If I were a member of the family, I would probably make the decision they made. The environment was toxic. The president was appearing stately, speaking well, but his entire media infrastructure was in full gear, insulting the president, the late president, insulting the family, making all sorts of terrible allegations. No, they want to sneak in $20 million in the casket. No, it's Findlay who has hired this plane. No, he's actually alive, he's not dead. Mocked from their own newspapers. These were not from anywhere. The newspapers that support the president and are run by his infrastructure. The environment didn't help the matters. That tact, I don't know what the intention was. I don't know whether it's just their terrible inefficiency and miscommunication. But that, I up to now, I don't understand. Because what we do, when a leader makes a pronouncement, you rally all the troops to support the words of the leader. If the president was preaching unity, from Causeway to Zambia Accurate Information to public media, you rally around the words of the president and build his words, bring them to life. But they were taking away his words. Because while he was saying, let's unite, let's work together, let's ensure that there's respect, let's have a one Zambia, one nation, his newspapers were insulting the late president. Uncharacteristic, totally un-African, totally un-Zambian. We don't speak ill of the dead. But not Hakainde Hichilema's newspapers. They were full throttle, embarrassing, discrediting, defaming, deriding, destroying the name of the late president we're going to put to rest. So if there has been other mischief in this entire process, it has been the media infrastructure of President Hakainde Hichilema. You should see even their own comments on my own blogs, because they all come to my page and make comments. You can visit. They significantly departed from the president's own words. On this forum, when the president spoke after 7 days, and he went to Belvedere Lodge and signed a book of condolences and issued that remarks, I said, Mr. President, you are 7 days late, but congratulations. At least you have personally acknowledged that the late president has passed on, and you have given public remarks, and you have signed a book of condolences. It's a good start. Can we now end well? Let's not worry about the poor start. The finish is what is important. I congratulated the president I said, because the family is not here, the family is still stuck in Johannesburg. We don't have a family home. I even said, can you live up to your words? If I were you, Mr. President, I would call Batuke Imenda, my Secretary General, and ask him, can you call Raphael Nakachinda? Can you people sit together? Can we begin to mourn from Belvedere, all of us? Because remember the money that was being expended at Belvedere Lodge, all the food, breakfast, lunch, dinner, drinks that were being bought at Belvedere Lodge were meant for mourners. So the PF were fending for themselves. The family home were fending for themselves. Government resources were being released to feed who? UPND cadres at Belvedere Lodge. So I propose, Mr. President, if you mean what you've just said after signing a book of condolences, ask Batuke Imenda, because he had said good words like, there's no PF, there's no UPND, they're just Zambians. The person we've lost was Zambia's 6th president. So Batuke Imenda should have reached out to Raphael Nakachinda, and the two should have sat together and told their troops, because you have to live these words. You can't preach unity without practicing it. They didn't. Came today, again, big disservice. I've never seen the president that distressed. I'm not being personal. I'm never personal. But look at the president. I've never seen him that tired, that haggard in this interview. Just look at him. This is a man that's totally stressed and is probably looking for a solution on this matter. Just check.
We'll continue the interaction. Lamora from South Africa, in charge of international relations. We're very delighted that President Ramaphosa has sent the minister and his delegation to allow us to have a conversation, a decent one for that matter, in resolving the challenge that we're faced with. The country is aware of the challenge. We don't have to reiterate that. Our wish has been very clear that we like the mortal remains of President Lungu, our 6th president, to be buried in his home country, Zambia, and not in any other country. And I think these are the issues amongst many we've discussed. We were grateful to President Ramaphosa for his graciousness, his government, and people of South Africa, for the courtesies that they extended to us, starting with the medical facilities of our 6th president, and then the demise and the subsequent one is that they accorded or ended or agreed to accord to our President Lungu. On the Wednesday, we were supposed to repatriate the body, and we also have apologized to the President and the people of South Africa for the inability to exclude that mission, and we continue seeking a solution, a civilized solution, I must say. The two sister countries, brother countries, we're one people, South Africans and Zambians and our people. We have different laws that apply in our countries, South Africa and Zambia, but we want to see if we can bridge those issues. And I'm very happy with the meeting we've had, and cordial, quite illustrative, hearing each other out. And I must say also, Minister, I was grateful that you visited the funeral house in South Africa. I think that's the way it should be. Funeral house of our late president. So I think for the media, that's all we can say for now. That Minister will be carrying our message.
You can see a man searching for solution, haggard, tired, probably has barely slept the last few days. Then you treat him to propaganda. You know the trouble with lies. You tell yourself a lie and you believe it. You run big headlines. South Africa agrees with Zambia, with HH. Okay, tumi mone. Now South Africa wasa kuma studio yao. Abo.
Must be an interesting one. I'm not sure if South Africa has ever done this before, but to ultimately help in the burial of a former president of an African country then, in which the family has decided not to repatriate the body back to Zambia. How exactly does South Africa deal with this from a diplomatic point of view, considering Minister Lamula's visit as well to Lusaka?
And that was precisely the purpose of Minister Lamula's visit to Lusaka, to firstly share the country's condolences on the passing of President Lungu, and also to say that South Africa does acknowledge the importance of a nation burying their former president. However, at this stage, we are bound legally to follow what the family requires, and we would then have to leave it there with the family's obligations or the family's wishes. But this also comes on the back of us having legal obligations to honor the family's wishes as they are resident in South Africa. So that then comes with some attendant rights as well in terms of some various legislations that would apply in these processes. So that is where we stand on the matter. But it should not be seen in any way as us not wishing to respect the Zambian government's wishes or disrespectful to the Zambian nation as well.
So there you are. The government propaganda fell flat. Who were they fooling? Who were they trying to comfort with lies? Who has been embarrassed? Again, is the president. That's the sad part about propaganda, is it hits you back in your face. The reason President Cyril Ramaphosa, and I said it yesterday, I said South African position is clear. They will not stand in the way because they had issued an earlier statement that this matter is between the government of the Republic of Zambia and the family. And in the event that the family resolves to bury here, they will not stand in the way. And I'd said it here yesterday. So the ball remained in government's court to attempt to resolve this matter. Not to go to the government of South Africa and try to stop the family from burying. That would not happen. And I catalogued. I even gave an example, in the earlier broadcast when there were earlier indication that the remains of the late president may not lie in Zambia for now. I gave an example of Dennis Lotter, national team player, good scorer, African. He had been to the AFCON several times. He dies in South Africa and the father leaves Zambia to go and pick the remains and bring him to Zambia. He had married a South African and he had children in South Africa. And the South African government could not stand in the way because the wife said, no, you're not taking me anywhere. He's my husband. I think maybe she was looking at benefits. Let me not go there. Let me not scandalize the family. But the point is the family refused. The spouse refused that the remains of Zambian celebrated hero should come back to Zambia. The father was broken. He couldn't understand how his own son could not be buried in Zambia. So that was one of the issues. I've given other examples of the Angolan liberation hero, a general who died in South Africa, but he was at odds with the government of Angola. And the government of Angola wanted the general back. I'll get you the names before maybe we end the broadcast. And the South African government says, no, we cannot interfere. What is the decision of the family? I hosted John Sangwa, State Council. And here he elaborated the lack of the law in Zambia that could give anyone power. And he said, in the absence of all these crises, the matter remains for the family. He even wondered why people were issuing statements here and there. No estate property. John Sangwa made it very clear. Speak to the family. They are the final custodians of the body. He said, it doesn't matter what we did in the past. If we violated the law, if we violated President Mwanawasa's will, it didn't mean that it was right. If the family stands their ground, unfortunately, you have to respect the family. And he says, even in the case of Dr. Kaunda, because he personally handled that particular matter, he said he went to court for the younger son, Kaweche Kaunda, began a process to get an injunction, but the matter was weakened because the eldest son, Panji, held a press conference and markedly differed and said, I'm the eldest son, and the position of the family, therefore, is the following. He differed with his young brother, Kaweche, and he supported the government position that President Kaunda should lie at Embassy Park. But it didn't mean, imagine if both Kaweche and Kaunda stood the ground. So Sangwa made it very, very clear. If we've made mistakes in the past, it's not that they were supported by the law. In fact, we should not violate the wishes of the deceased. He made it very clear. He says we should go the Tanzanian way, where the law, in case there's a dispute, what you do is you mark a plaque. And we gave an example of the cenotaph opposite Embassy Park and Cabinet Office here on Independence Road. There's that long paw there. We remember the dead there who died in World War I, World War II, but there's no single body there. He said the Tanzanian law on former presidents deals with presidents in that fashion. In the event, remember Nelson Mandela doesn't lie in any honorable place. They took him to his village in Kunu, Eastern Cape. That's where Nelson Mandela lies. But he can be commemorated at a hero's square. Robert Mugabe lies elsewhere. There have been attempts, I think, to repatriate and revoke the earlier decision of the family. But Robert Mugabe was buried at a village, not at the hero's square he created. So Sangwa took time to educate all of us and pleaded with whoever was involved in this matter, pleaded with President Hakainde Hichilema that this is a matter of the family, speak to them. They are Zambians like you. They all want President Edgar Lungu's remains to lie in Zambia. Go and resolve the issues. Ushenga waewa tuisangwa kukuchitilo chincha kosa, John Sangwa asked. Mwantu wakwalesa, we have a huge number of arrivals in Johannesburg from the party led by our Vice President and Acting President, Honorable Given Luwinda, who arrived this morning. There is over 20 members of parliament, 26 members of parliament that have arrived. Let me read the ones that I know have come. Honorable Simumba from Nakonde has arrived in Johannesburg. Honorable Francis Kapianga, Honorable Jinch Senga, Mambirima, Honorable Mabumba, Honorable Anton Kasandwe, Honorable Mutotwe Kafwaya, Honorable Brian Munduvile, Honorable Kapampi, from Wensawombwe, Honorable Mukosa, Kalalwe Mukosa from Honorable Sande Chanda, Honorable Remember Mtale from Chitambo, Honorable Stephen Kampiongo, Honorable Mao Sampa from Matero, Honorable Mpiri, Honorable Kampamba Mulenga, Honorable Augustine Chanda Katotowe, Honorable Allen B, Honorable Chiwombwe, Honorable Nakaponda, Honorable Sibongile Mwamba from Kasama Central, Honorable Pavyuma, Honorable Chonde from Milenge, Honorable Twasa, Honorable Binwa Mpundu, and others. They've gone to give comfort not only to the family, but remember one of the daughters of the late president, Honorable Tarsila Mwansa, Honorable Tarsila Lungu Mwansa, the daughter to the late president. She's a member of parliament for Chawama. So there's a huge number of MPs that have gone to be with the family. Today we saw sad moments when the Archbishop of Lusaka, the Catholic Archbishop of the Metropolitan of Lusaka, arrived at the funeral. Just watch this. This broke me, but just watch this.
Aponye mfuti yawe aya wendo mutende wenda wayimina tukesa umana
bengi baya ichichena cha kalika
wakulekela we mwine tule wefu ndiwotusha ichichena cha finisha wakulekela we mwine tule wefu tule wefu tule wefu wakulekela we mwine ichichena cha fina wena chakulisha tutule wakulekela we mwine ichichena cha kalika wakulekela we mwine tule wefu ichichena cha finisha wakulekela we mwine tule wefu
yangu busenindala nangula chilo oke bose tulive na kuya lelo tevyo bayevi amitapendwa ya vintu ifisume vyoza kula kuibukisha kana depotimo wimbo watemenwa katongi abazunga batita katongi nakula kuibukisha kateka kaibukubuna kapona neseko syove pamenso yangu abaume baya iyaba baume iyaba baume kateka wabantu twakulira lelo twakulira shikakukonke milimo shove Sile eti kume mo kulondolo la vale lilo wingi
iseko wingi mwakwete iseko wingi mwakwete mwaya mwende wino tata wesu
katushi muchi mokege wali bomba kale lomba mwatuja tulelilake
Last send-off of their former statesman. What does this do in stripping a nation of having that opportunity of burying their former statesman?
Kato, I still say President Hakainde lost an opportunity to be the bigger man. He should have just stood aside.
If it's a felt need of the family, for example, that the president should not personally be in attendance. So what do we, why not delegate? Why not delegate? You know, why not delegate? You know, yes, it's awkward, but unusual situations, unusual circumstances may demand unusual responses. And it will appear, you know, the problem that we have as human beings is that we think they now would have lost, then they have won. But sometimes backing down and then allowing certain things to happen may not necessarily be a loss. It could be actually a sign that you are greater than the other because you are ready to, you know, to back down and give way, and for the sake of the greater good of the country.
How can you allow somebody who has murdered your son or your daughter and you are still mourning to come and attend the funeral and we went to speak at the funeral?
But how good your son
was. And you know about it, you say, wait a minute, what's happening? And I think I can just say the whole thing, I summed it up when I spoke to one guy. I said, because how can you, Ambassador, a Catholic, be remembered in a Jehovah's Witness hall?
Yeah.
In the 10th anniversary, or how do you get
to be dishonored?
How do you get remembered in a SDA church when everyone knows that you're Catholic and so on? And the state insists.
We have many leaders from the opposition, ordinary Zambians that have arrived in South Africa. We have Honorable KBF. We have Honorable, I think I have pictures of Citizen First President Harry Kalava, who arrived earlier and went to Midrand to sign the Book of Condolences and to mourn with the former First Lady. The church spoke, that was Father Chikoya, you know, from CCZ, who was advising that the easiest thing by the president should have been just to step aside. The vice president could have done the duties for him. There was no need for acrimony, and he analyzed it very, very well. This is not a matter of political contest. I should win, I am right. There was continuous arrogance in the voice of the president. President Edgar Lungu, Zambia's 6th president, will lie in Zambia. That's what he said to Constantino Chiwenga, the first vice president in Zimbabwe. Even to Lamola yesterday. And again, there was that final statement like he was in control of everything. Therefore, what he wished would come to pass. President Lungu would lie. He was not listening to the concerns, because that's what it means. It's not mighty that gets away all the time. And simple negotiations, taking the concerns into account, would have resolved this matter. And we stand here with Wednesday, 25th June, confirmed as a day when the remains of the late president will be put to rest. An official program, I think, is being hammered out. There's delay. There was indication that the program will be released this morning. But maybe in light of diplomatic engagement that happened the last 2 days, maybe the family held back to understand. But I think it was just a lot of respect and dignity to the people of Zambia and to President Hakainde Hichilema that South Africa sent its Minister of Foreign Affairs to go and communicate the inevitable. So they didn't want to do it on the phone or in a press statement. They sent an entire Minister of International Relations and Communications, International Relations and Cooperation. Even in the video at State House, he said, Mr. President, we agree with you. The The ideal situation is the late president must lie here in Zambia. But there is an issue of the family. If the family, makes a decision, we'll be obliged to respect it because of our local laws, national laws, and international laws. I saw uninformed write-ups citing the Vienna Convention of how the state can get President Lungu using the law and the Vienna Convention, and they were saying, how do we get soldiers? Now, that's a lot of ignorance. The soldiers, their families are back home. They are fighting in foreign land. It's a family that demand from government, bring our son or our daughter. We gave him to you to provide national service in foreign wars. He has died there. Bring the remains. Again, who's driving the process? It's a family. So that particular citation of Vienna Convention was totally misguided. It could be, in this case, imagine if President Edgar Lungu died elsewhere and the family is in Zambia. They could demand from government, bring the remains of our, of the late to us. So that citation is totally uninformed. And, in light of Facebook and Twitter, where people don't read, we read just headlines, they lie go through. They even now form foundations of opinions based on a lie. So that one was a lie. We want to acquire Sangafuen Kokulosha. You are able to phone 0973078082. The reality is the late president will be put to rest on Wednesday, 25th June, in the Republic of South Africa. So make your call. It's a sad reality. Oh, they've been calls already. Thank you very much for all those that have been calling. I've opened the phone lines. Let's hear from you. Poor decisions, lack of leadership. Now we have an empty tomb lying in Lusaka at Embassy Park. Again, there were issues around that tomb. The caller from Lundazi was very, very disturbed. He says Mwamboatu, or even JJ Banda when he called yesterday, he made it very clear that you cannot dig this without the authority of the family or presence of the family. Good evening. Please tell us your name and where you're calling us from. And please, let's try to be brief so that we can allow as many callers as possible. I've been very gracious to allow people to talk as long as possible, but we are denying others that wish to express themselves. Make your contribution, my brother.
Yeah, I'm calling from Lusaka, Zambia.
Thank you.
I'd like to remain anonymous.
That is okay.
I've seen on Facebook or by Sun FM a post that the Honorable Chavinga has started off a busload of his supporters to come there. My worry is, won't there be consternation with the other PF members who are the genuine PF members?
If I want to losha muleleta mangalo. The police are supposed to arrest Robert Chavinga, but probably they're the ones that have sent him. You can't constantly engage in conflict. You cannot. Chavinga is always, with the president. So what do we interpret? Has it been sent by President Hakainde Hichilema? Hello, good evening. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
Good evening, Ambassador.
Good evening.
I'm calling you from Lusaka.
Thank you.
I would like to remain honest.
Please make your contribution.
My contribution is, as the previous caller, of this young boy, this confused young boy who calls himself party president on his way to South Africa. How I would wish he may not return if he goes there, because that boy is confused, and the boy is the one that is being used in much of these dirty things. So we want peace there. We want peace. The South African government has accorded us unity, and we have to maintain the dignity that our president, the late president, deserves.
Thank you. Thank you, my brother.
I was just mentioning to my conference president in the side room that leadership is not easy. It's assumed to be easy from a distance. It's pretty challenging.
Hello, good evening. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
I am George Mwewa.
Okay, Mr. Mwewa, make your contributions.
Oh yeah, thank you so much. We are mourning the head of state, the former head of state, Dr. Edgar Chagwa Lungu, 6th Republican president, who will be put to rest in South Africa. That has brought a lot of sadness and a lot of shame, not only to the leadership of this country, but to all people as a Zambia in general population. We can safely say we have reached at the point of no return in terms of the polarization. There is a widening gap of us versus them. As long as the board of the president, former president, who ruled this country 7 years, that has never been at war, with a lot of production and without interruption in business, the country will still be mourning and will still be seeing this funeral not to end because Edgar Lungu is not buried in Zambia. What should we learn from this? It's a regret that the government of Dr. Gainde Ichilema today has found itself whereby they cannot have an independent institution such as a church that can merge and stand in the between the gap and then talk to each other. And the reason is simple. The reason is simple. The government has never put an effort to find a neutral solution to solve this problem, because always they refer to the past treatment. But once someone has become a president, the past has to be buried, and it has to accept everyone as his own citizen and his own children. And secondly, when you are ruling, you are a servant of the people. You need to rule to everyone. You are a leader to a criminal. You are a leader to a witch doctor. You are a leader to sinners. You are a leader to right people. You are not just a leader for a certain political grouping.
Thank you very much, my brother.
That has arisen in our face here in Zambia leave much to be desired.
Thank you very much.
Into a desired direction. And we are in deep waters right now because Zambia is not at all. It has never been at all. It has never been at civil war. But how come you can fail to bury the president, the former president who ruled this country peacefully, who ruled this country without business of the government interruption in his land, without a coup in the country? Then we have failed to bury a simple funeral. We have failed to bury a body of the deceased leader, and for that matter, a citizen of Zambia. My question is to the embassy, Zambian embassy in South Africa, because Zambian embassy in South Africa is being funded by our taxpayers' money. Did they put any efforts to check on Edgar Lungu as a citizen of Zambia, a taxpayer person who went to South Africa for 7 years? Did they check on him? And if they did not check on him, on what basis? Because they use our taxpayers' money. Then what is the point of having an embassy in a foreign country?
Thank you. Thank you, my brother.
If it's a felt need of the family, for example, that the president should not personally be in attendance. So what do we, why not delegate? Why not delegate? Why not delegate?
Hello, good evening. Please tell us your name and where you're calling us from.
I would love to be anonymous as well.
Okay, make your contribution, sir.
Sure. First of all, I just want to commend you for the wonderful job that you are doing.
I'm grateful.
Me, any sober human being, any sober Zambian should appreciate the efforts that you are doing. You are not just enlightening the nation, but you are also guiding the government. These people, as much as they call you to be someone who is always doing some propaganda, you are doing a very wonderful job. You are also enlightening them and guiding them on what they should do. Trust me, even what you've just said, it is not too late for them to realize to say, you mean well and you are providing a good guide. To the many Zambians out there, this is not time we should start now pointing fingers at each other. This is not time. We should start talking about who did what and who is doing what. It is our duty and responsibility this time around to have love in our hearts and be able to share it with others genuinely. We failed the former head of state. We failed him, and as a nation, we have failed him. Most of the people that have been speaking ill on the medias, these media houses, they've done the worst even because they were not there to provide guide to the president. They were not there to speak the love that they were supposed to be speaking. This time around, the president has a group of people around him that is not supporting, that is projecting a hate in form of love. If at all these people mean well, let them start speaking good and change the narrative from today henceforth.
Thank you,
Otherwise,
my brother.
we really appreciate, and I know to say, with what you are doing, the president, as wise as he is getting something from these programs. Thank you.
Last send-off of their former statesman. What does this do in stripping a nation of having that opportunity of burying their former statesman?
Kato, I still say President Hakainde lost an opportunity to be the bigger man.
Hello, good evening. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from. Oh, this line is not connecting. Good evening. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
Thank you, Mr. Mwamba. I want to remain anonymous. I'm calling you from North America.
Thank you. Please proceed to make your contribution.
Yes, please. My contribution would be in all of this for today, Mona. It's so sad that there's a possibility our former president will be buried in South Africa. If there is a chance, that this problem can be sorted out, it would be very good that he's buried back in Zambia. So that he may be given the honor and the respect that he deserves. Everybody would want to, attend that funeral, attend the burial, and just send him off in a dignified manner that he deserves. If this thing can be sorted out, teacher Awama, otherwise we're just praying and hoping that the family and the government will come together and agree before Wednesday. That's my contribution. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Good evening. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
Good evening. I'm calling you from Zambia. My name is Brian.
Brian, quickly make your contributions.
Okay. It's very sad to have to witness what is happening, especially the burial of the late president. is someone that was loved in this country. Many people would have loved to bid final farewell to him, even as they put him to the ground. But as it stands, the government has failed to compromise as much as they would have done in order for them to allow the Zambian people that privilege to mourn the late president. The family is also standing by what they are standing by. I still feel, though, that it's a bigger compromise on their side to have to put to rest a father, a husband, but also a leader of this nation, because that was his biggest honor. President Lungu's biggest honor was to save the people of Zambia. And the family knew how important that was to him. So putting him to rest in this country would have been an ideal thing to do. Even up to now, personally, there's a part of me, I think every time I see your program, there's a part of me that wishes something would just go differently, and we put the late president in this country where he was born.
Must be an interesting one. I'm not sure if South Africa has ever done this before, but to ultimately help in the burial of a former president of an African country then, in which the family has decided not to repatriate the body back to Zambia. How exactly does South Africa deal with this from a diplomatic point of view, considering Minister Lamula's visit as well to Lusaka?
And that was precisely the purpose of Minister Lamula's visit to Lusaka, to firstly share the country's condolences on the passing of President Lungu, and also to say that South Africa does acknowledge the importance of a nation burying their former president. However, at this stage, we are bound legally to follow what the family requires, and we would then have to leave it there with the family's obligations or the family's wishes. But this also comes on the back of us having legal obligations to honor the family's wishes, as they are residents in South Africa. So that then comes with some attendant rights as well, in terms of some various legislations that would apply in these processes. So that is where we stand on the matter. But it should not be seen in any way as us not wishing to respect the Zambian government's wishes or disrespectful to the Zambian.
Hello, caller. Hello. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from. Hello. Is the caller gone? Hello.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, good evening. Please
evening, sir.
tell us your name and where you are calling us from, and make your contributions.
Yes, sir. You are speaking to Mr. Kawe.
Thank you,
From
Mr.
Lusaka.
Chagwa. Make your contribution.
Yes, sir. Everyone actually would want to mourn the former president of the Republic of Zambia. But we are actually mourning here. We don't even know what to say, actually. They were supposed just to bring the president here in Zambia so that we all together mourn him. He was our president. We loved him so much. I think that is my contribution I can make.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Good evening. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
Good evening, Ambassador. My name is concerned citizen or patriotic Zambian, I would rather remain anonymous for now.
Thank you very much. Make your contributions.
Okay, I just want to also give credit to what you are doing by giving a good analysis of issues of what is going on in our country and providing the evidence-based argument based on the propaganda that we've been seeing in papers, or online publications. And it's unfortunate when I watch what you present, and then I still see people coming on the platform with the agenda to say you are a propagandist and so forth. It's so unfortunate that they can't see to say you are there to speak with evidence. You provide evidence and you come back on this platform to call you a person who is full of propaganda. It's very unfortunate. Zambians, I think let's not put our bitterness, our vengeance, and our arrogance during this time, and we hail insults on a person like Ambassador Mwamba, who's doing a great job. If you follow his presentation, you will be able to say what this man is talking about is with so much evidence, but we still want to paint you black. I want to mention to those who are painting you black to say, let them be ashamed. This is not the time. Honestly speaking, where have we thrown our Ubuntu as Zambians? Where have we thrown the spirit of one Zambia, one nation? Where have we thrown our traditions, our values, our norms as Zambians, where we now tend to speak so evil of a man who is a former head of state, of a man who ruled the country with love, with peace. Yes, you could have not loved him, but not at this point. You see a woman is crying, Mama Esther is crying, and then you keep on coming and screaming insults, even telling to say, how long are we going to mourn? Are we going to mourn for 1 year? Have you ever lost a loved one and you mourned them for 2 days? Honestly, Zambians, where is your spirit of Ubuntu? Yes, Your Excellency, Mr. President Hakainde Hichilema, you lost the opportunity to rise above the ego that is there in you, to put the country together. The country is divided right now. If you can't get it from the little people who are calling you to say, Mr. President, the country is divided, you could have just said, yes, I'm going to stay aside for the love of this country. We need to come together. Mourn the late President ECL. He was a man of love. Look at the pictures that you've shown with old women, with children. Can you also say that is propaganda by Mwamba Shua Mwebantu Bena Zambia? What's wrong with you people? What's wrong with you? We are mourning and you want to insult even the dead ECL. Where have we thrown our Ubuntu, you people? Where? Mr. President, I'm begging you. Please, even that person who called to say that Chavinga has gone to mourn and this and that. If I was HH, I would tell Chavinga to say, Chavinga, for the love of this nation, please stay away. You've been all this while aligned to me. How are people going to look at it? You want to take confusion even in South Africa. We want ECL to be buried, mourned in dignity, with love and peace, not confusion. That's my request. Please, Zambians, I submit Ambassador Mwamba. Thank you.
Thank you, Mama. That was very emotional. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Amitapendwa ya vintu ifisume vyoza kula kuibukisha Tana depotimo Wimbo wa temenu wa katongi
Hello, good evening. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
Ambassador Mamba, I will remain anonymous for now.
That is well.
But no, thank you. You see, I thank you for the updates you keep giving and very grounded analysis in terms of how you update us on what is going on. I can see every time I watch you, I've been watching you every time you go live, that you are really at pains to understand or to keep up with what is happening. I can see that it was your desire, probably personally, that this should not get to where we are now. However, I note with concern, though, that much as we can fault the president in whatever is happening, or he has a part to play in that he could have distanced himself from the funeral. I don't understand why the family makes it explicit that they can only repatriate the remains, and on condition that the president comes nowhere near the funeral. I do not think such demands are demands that we should take lightly in face of a nation that is so divided in the manner that we are right now. But my biggest issue also goes to leadership in the Patriotic Front. I know that probably government could have done better to engage elderly members of the PF or senior members, including Mama Inongewina, and probably even the acting chairperson and vice president Yovinda. I think they should do a lot more better to ensure that we don't get to have such things happening. Neutral people like us who watch end up concluding that probably this is an issue to do with lack of leadership within the Patriotic Front. I'm sorry to say that, but that is what I see here. I see a situation where I do not think if PF being the leadership of the Patriotic Front, being Honorable Luvinda, and their leaders within PF like Honorable former Minister of Home Affairs, Honorable Kampiongo. Those are not Honorable Kampiongo. Every time he speaks, those are people that speak from a position of understanding of knowledge. I don't think if such people were sent to speak with Mama Esther Lungu, they would not have convinced her to come to terms with whatever is happening. But I'm hugely disappointed with the leadership in the Patriotic Front, and I hope that people can actually up their salts and begin to work better going forward. When the late President Chiluba died, under very controversial circumstances, there were far bigger issues on the death of His Excellence President FTJ than we probably have now. But the people that managed his office did a very, very commendable job to sail the ship through, calm the waters, and we came out of it a united people without, I feel like whatever the issues that, especially given that was a very sudden death, there were more that could have, and just a few months before elections, there was much more that could have divided us then than what I'm seeing now. And I hope that the leaders within the Patriotic Front later on can, even within a day that is remaining, come back to their senses and realize that what is happening is not something. Of course, they have tried to distance themselves, but Honorable Luvinda made it very clear from the first time he addressed that President Lungu will be repatriated when an appropriate person comes into the office who will be able to mourn him with the dignity that he deserves. We should not normalize disrespecting authority. We may not agree with President Hichilema on many things. Some of us do not, for example. But we should not undermine authority to the extent to which we are seeing now.
Okay, my brother, I'll take the liberty. I'll take the liberty to answer you on this particular matter. First of all, you cannot blame the Patriotic Front and its leadership. You are not being fair. I think the diet of information you are probably getting is not balanced. But if you take time to listen to us, we have demonstrated a catalogue of events. The late president dies on Thursday. There's no announcement from government. They're all there. The family takes it upon itself to make the announcement. The president dies after a medical procedure. No one expected him to pass on. So everyone is thinking on top of their head. I've commended the leadership of Given Luwinda that there was no announcement from government. What did you expect him to? Patriotic Front is probably the largest party in the country. The UPND could be a ruling party, but you know sometimes they are not everywhere like the Patriotic Front. It's still the largest political party. Where did you think the people should gather? At the residence of the late president? Did Given Luwinda had powers to do that? No, that was a family matter. But from a political point of view, he made a political decision. And he says, at least we have the secretariat. Whoever wishes to be with us during this tragedy, they can come to the secretariat. For me, that was leadership. Where did you want abantu ngabale lulumba kuisa? And Given Luwinda had no powers to open the home of the late president at Epalabele Chitilo. Takwaba. Those are family decisions. And remember, the family was in South Africa. And when the Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Relations came, Honorable Mlambo Haimbe on Friday, he just wanted the remains of the late president to be taken back to Zambia. He said the Zambia Air Force plane is with us. We're supposed to leave tomorrow. They said, no, we need to prepare. We've been here the last 6 months. And there are issues here. There's even a possibility we need to discuss the issue of an autopsy because the president has died suddenly. This was a man who was cheerful, was calling everyone, before he went into this medical procedure, was all cheerful. He had planned to come at the month end. Then he dies suddenly. So there was an issue of autopsy. There were a lot of issues that needed to be resolved. They couldn't just leave the following day as government desired. So let's not go there. We've dealt with that several times on this program. So I just thought I could answer you. I blame the president. He's the head of state. There's no person who has the infrastructure that a head of state has. There is no person who has authority, wide powers like a head of state, especially in a centralized structure like Zambia. And he could have done better. Look at the envoys that he sent. He sends the Minister of Foreign Affairs who disregarded the sensitivities around the family. They've just lost and he's saying we need to be in Zambia because the president has to declare a period of national mourning. No. We've been here 6 months. Who pays the bills? The president has died suddenly. We are yet to recover from it. The family has to make decisions. So I think the president sends the minister, the vice president, Honorable Enoch Kavindele. But you follow the media. You've seen Honorable Kavindele is always on ZNBC, and you've seen the volatility of his statements against the opposition and even on late president. You send Leslie Mbula. Even yesterday, he was blaming the family as if he was not a special envoy. Check News Diggers. Leslie Mbula is still blaming the family that they didn't rise above narrow interest. Iwe, abantu nabafuirwa nabakwata ma conditions. Ebale ikala na ba president. Now we should have a president. And you say narrow interest. Come on, don't trivialize those issues. So for me, there's been lack of sensitivities around this matter. I have said here on this program that imagine if the president sent women, the former first ladies who've lost presidents, Dr. Christine Kaseva, Mama Tandiwe Banda, or even, accompanied by the first lady, Madam Mutinta, and some senior women in our country like Woi Nonge and others. Would we be here? Would we be here? Because what she's going through, when you look at the video, the way she responded when she saw Archbishop is Grace Alik Banda. You see a woman in deep grief and all she wants is someone to say, it is okay, it is well, we understand. Imagine those women that have lost presidents, whose husbands were presidents, if they were sent to go and sit with her on that mattress. Would we be here? So when we call for wisdom, there are such, you can't just be mechanical about it. Kasendeni chitumbi. Iyo bane, uyo mubili is a husband, is a grandfather, he's been president. You know, there are issues. You ought to be sensitive. And that's why I was pushing the blame on the president. Okay, it's Ntumfo from Leland. Good evening, please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
From Lusaka.
Mr. Michael Piri, please make your contribution, sir.
Yes, contribution in the Falkland yakutira you know, chino chalo cha Zambia is like the president bali mfira sana ku bantu abaliranda fichirande instead ukumona presidency, because presidency, yes, as a leader you must listen to people, but there are certain people when you look at these commentators and so forth, and I'm touched when you look at our fourth state. The media is now using propaganda over the funeral when they know that Amariro if I'll give an example. Look at all these people who have traveled, who have gone to South Africa. They have gone to see the widow, and this is the opportunity which the president missed. What he could have done, instead of saying Bevodia will be another funeral point, he could have gone to Chifwema, even without Ibamayo na family. There is family members there, and signing the book of condolences. From there, what he could have done, using wisdom, he would have even called Bagiven Rubinda, Banakachinda, and everyone to say, guys, this is a funeral, our brother has gone. What are we going to do? You get like this from the people who are mourning. Now, when you look at what is hurting everyone, you find that even now Chavinga started making comments and so forth. Look like now it was comment, but when you look at, they have lost this person who served this country for 7 years. And when you look at his works vividly, today Zambians are crying. They are crying because they shall never see a leader like His Excellency Edgar Chagwa Lungu, may he so rest in peace. Because this is the man who was loved. This is the man, even if he lost by 1.1 million votes, but people appreciated him. Even in his death, people are still crying. But what is happening now today, Bamwamba, is like now we have created war between now, the issue, if you have seen, people now, they have started saying, Easterners and Bembers to where is the president? Look at how these guys are insulting the former president. While the body is still in the fridge, is still in the mortuary. I was expecting even our president to that can everyone stop talking about this until we bury our brother. Despite what is happening today, we are supposed now to he is supposed to unite this country, but this country is being divided and is watching. And when you look at to write something to say, so say no to tribalism, because and leadership, because this is the leadership which is there, whether we like it or not. President Againde Ichirema, he's our president, and he's the one who is supposed to give the guidance. Because now when you look at his quiet, and people now, they are being, saying whatever they want to say. This is not fair and this is not good, and one day something will happen big and the people will be shocked to say what is happening. The good example, look at what has happened. Just a funeral of our late president. He has failed to manage it. Now, what about what is happening? What is coming ahead? Because there's a lot of things which things can happen at any minute, any time. As a leader, he must be sensitive. Let him talk to his cadres. This is too much. It is too much to start now singling out Northerners and Easterners as if like we have done something wrong. We are one Zambia, one nation. Me, I was born in this country, there's only this country which I'm going to speak, which I'm going to defend according to the constitution, which says that I should defend and protect the constitution. In whatever we have done, this is a funeral. Immediately when they burn on Wednesday, we have to sit down as every Zambian will be referring. But what is going to what is now, the normas is not going to end, because every Zambian wanted to see the body of late President Edgar Chagwa Lungu being buried here in the soil. But we believe that whatever has happened, God, He knows what it has happened and why it has happened in such a way. And we believe that our president, I know he's listening, be the president like the way Edgar Chagwa Lungu was. Even Mwanawasa, if you remember Mwanawasa, when Wasata got sick, he was a critic, but what he did, he had to charter a plane to save him. When he came, they had to shake hand. The video is there. That's what we call statesman leadership. This is the leadership we are appealing from you, President Hakainde Hichilema. Please come and tell the nation that they should stop insulting, stop mocking a person who is already dead. We are mourning, we are crying. You know, when you are crying, you can do anything. That's why it's a quite so whatever we are saying, he should also understand. And you know, in conclusion, it touched me when the president was signing at Belvedere, when he said that we shall come back to them, those who are after the burial. You are not uniting the country. You are dividing this country, Mr. President. Mr. President, we love you. We love this country. But make sure, listen to the voices of people who are trying to help you. I thank you, and we are still mourning. Thank you, Amanda.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
If it's a felt need of the family, for example, that the president should not personally be in attendance. So what do we, why not delegate? Why not delegate? You know, why not delegate? You know, yes.
Good evening. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
Konge calling from South Africa. Wachishani wa ambassador.
Vanemu abomben kuis London yuko London poyama.
Echakubalira ku first ndeto tera imwe lesale mpala pantu mulimo mulebomba abengite kibawumone lesale bana imwe pantu ale bana imwe stadium mwali bana nkwe pantu ngatamwa bana nkwe iyi program kufika lero teti muyikonkanyepo position yo mulipo batifu mwachitando ama days yonse ayo awe mule konkanyapo okuparwa wa mwamba
Natasha yama
okuparwa ma propaganda zayo twakula yakonke fofine kwena ine ndeto telafe imwe bene na bonse bachibusa baba yashina ngula bali abakuponterwa ku bantu abapusana ndeto tero kwe batawe ine mitima mukwete mure konkanyapo ku mitima shachikuku lero abashikwete amensota bamwenye omulimo mwabomba nabo bene bonsero chimbindi afe pa point tukwate kwa chirangiriro imfwe yasha tufunda amano ayakulusana amano aya mufundo naba tufunde fingi sana bayashi batabengi bamona kwa tirimbi ta chipitire bwino echiriro na chipita bwino pantu ukwete amano kutavura mwefindu ifikara mbefe akwe batine charo chesu chafika pantanshi untanshu kutulea pantu isharandwa pamfweyi file turanga fyokwe batifo tufuire twaba umone abanensu ba South Africa efyo baturange ekifyalirwa kyabo fyo basenderi ashi ngachakwe batitwali kongere ekifyalirwa kyaba South Africa na pano tuleranda nga batwalishika nakali bamfu amali ashi batekanya baenda baisa ku Zambia oko na mano kukonge finto fyo fili okufika na lero badifo twafirwa so tufuire twa sanga po chimo chinshi ichalenga tufirwe tufuire twa chinja lero babale konkanya pokura sonta yo kampiongo yo shani awe ngachakwe bati pali chirubo ni pali chirubo tachawama nawo kupanga ekirubo nombola ensonda tuyewalenga awo apali problem natupe eshiba ero teki tuleba sonta lyonse eba fyashiba bacharo chesu lero ekirubo kiri pali bena nomba nayo nomufyashi ngaru fyanyokura musonga abo abalera ndira kwabo bafuire fe bayikara tondoro umwino omufyashi opoekere naishibo kwe batikwena yena ni mistake nomba bafuire batontonganya the way forward ushe mistake kuti baiwesha shani.
Thank you. Thank you, Bamunkonge. Thank you, Bamunkonge. Thank you very much.
Last send-off of their former statesman. What does this do in stripping a nation of having that opportunity of burying their former statesman?
Kato, I still say President Hakainde lost an opportunity to be the bigger man.
Yes, good evening. Please tell us your name and where you're calling us from. Yes, sir. Your name?
Anonymous.
Okay, Anonymous. Make your contributions.
You see, Ambassador Wesu, one of the things I've come to learn from our government now is they don't know how to choose the players. They don't know how to choose the player. They understand that the family for the Lungu has been affected. How do you send certain people to start commenting who have got already issues with the same family? If they are to choose the right people to go there, all this problem could have not been there. Another mistake. How do you begin to issue threats as a head of state that after the funeral you are going to arrest them, you will follow them? Then now, when they are dividing the country on their own, they want to blame the PF for the PF is dividing the country, when it is them that are dividing the country. Because if they could have just played these things very well, amicably, use women to go and talk to Bamova Esther, use right people to talk to the family properly, I think this problem would have not been there. Not when Nevers Mumba. Those have offended the family. They can't play the law of bringing the family together with the state. So one of the biggest mistakes the UPND government have made, they have failed to choose the right players who were supposed to go there and talk to the family. That is their baby to nurse. They are the one who have caused this problem. Every Zambians, we wanted to mourn the former head of state. We wanted to see that he's buried in Zambia. That was everyone's wish. But what has happened today, we can't even blame the family. No one should even be pointing the family. This is a failure of the leadership we have now. We've got people who don't know what they are doing. You don't run a country by threatening people. No, you don't. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. We'll be ending our broadcast at the hour, so make your calls. This is 42 after the hour, so you've got I think another 18 minutes. Let's hear from you, then we wrap up. Good evening. Please tell us your name and where you're calling us from. Speak louder, please.
My name is Mumba. I'm calling you from Lusaka.
Okay, sir. Make your contributions.
Yes, I'm just disappointed.
We can't hear you, my brother. I don't know what you've done. Either mute the other device and hold your phone properly.
Can you hear me now?
Now we can hear you clearly. Make your contributions.
Yes, I'm very disappointed. Ukuba citizen wa Zambia nachinjikata sana because nganalolesha ukufuma ishita ba former president ero ba tekere chalo cha Zambia. Hatred nanombe po ichiri even if baya shpali enoshita. Hatred epo ichiri pali ba Hakainde ichire. So I'm very disappointed whereby ichiriro chavahaga no ichiriro chava ECAO chava kwati nomba a political game nombe yaravapo because if into the prefisenda bwino fulfilling okuva nangu tulanda okutira barashikira ku South Africa nangu tulanda barashikira mu Zambia, but what I see is echiriro echi chava kwati nomba a political game yo twara tamba nomba kula zumba na fie wiwarande fi kula shinguluka femi mwe bantu bakwanisa ba ECAO bali ni ba president ba chalo cha Zambia, whether we like it or not. Chimo chine na ba HH ni ba president ba chalo cha Zambia, whether you like it or not. So contribution yandiyo ningapera ya kwewati. Let us mourn together because imwe ba PF ni mwe wakwata hatred pali bahagaini. Let me not hide this. Ni mwe wakwata hatred pali bahagaini. Ukwambira kunu muko before bahagaini tabaraba president. Up to this time, muchirimule hatred epo ichi. So, nga abantu abali muchalo chimo. Let us unite. Let us be together. Tend to mwishi vereso to people brando kutirati. This is the what? This is tend to pepe leso twa ishiba. That this is Christian nation. Not to learn we are Christian nation. Then if you chita tafile lola mono lola moao. Ten to me shiveresa nga twamu shiveresa. Then if you twakula fish.
Thank you very much, my brother. Thank you. Thank you.
I am cultured different. I don't want people confronting me like this. Because where I grew up, we fear nothing. When you confront me, you're creating a problem there. But come and talk to me.
Good evening. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
Okay, Aim from Lusaka.
Make your contribution.
Bamwamba, my contribution and the Rifepadi wa Evalera and the Chavenga.
Mkwai.
No? Bamwamba bachavenga kufuma kuba fuire ba ECL. Ba PF ba given rubinda ba honorable ba start declare ba secretariat padia. Ushibali mine ko kuyako.
Awe.
Tabaire. Ba tubaisala ndati na kuchifwema kuli amaliro. Ushibali mine okuyako.
Nakalia.
Then lero beme atwaya ku South Africa kumaliro. Please bamwamba mwebe ntungurushi kuntanshi tube aware nga kuli amaweza akubakanisha mu babakani tatulifwaye fyongo.
Thank you, my brother. Thank you.
Yesterday, June 18th, the people of Zambia were prepared to receive the remains of our former president, but were surprised by the family's reversal of their agreed course of action. At our request, the South African government prepared extensively with military honors mounted by the South African Defense Force, who did so in vain, as the former president's body was not availed by the family for repatriation to Zambia. For this unfortunate situation, we extend our sincere apologies to President Ramaphosa, the government, and the people of South Africa. Fellow citizens, our country cannot afford a state of indefinite mourning. We've done everything possible to engage the family of our departed 6th Republican president, and we've reached a point where a clear decision has to be made.
Good evening. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
Evening. Thank you, Ambassador. I would have to remain anonymous for now.
Yes, thank you. Make your contribution.
Thank you. I'm calling from Southern Province, Zambia. My concern is about the bad side of our former head of state, who we understand that is likely to be buried in SA, South Africa. The president assured the nation that the government is doing everything possible, if possible, to re-engage the family of the former head of state, our beloved president, and for that matter, he was the 6th Republican president, who would love as a nation to mourn and pay our last respect. Now we are not seeing anything like it's coming to, we're not seeing if the government and the family are coming to terms. Later on, we've just heard that finally the president will be put to rest in South Africa. So what's going to happen to that grave? They've actually dug at a presidential memorial park in Lusaka. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Let me read this one that has been sent by one of our senior leaders in our country. They said this is a demonstration of failed leadership. One has to have genuine love for his fellow citizen and country to aspire to lead the country. To run for president of any country when you do not genuinely love your fellow citizens and the country is to present yourself in a fraudulent and evil manner, and will result in negative outcomes as we are seeing now. Remember, KK warned us about what we have now found out. The country is divided. We did not heed when KK warned us. I hope Zambians have learned from the pain that we are all going through. Thank you, Ambassador, for your program. Thank you very much. That has been sent by an anonymous but senior person and asked me to read it. Good evening. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from. Please make your contribution, sir. Mute your device.
Hello.
Yes, you are live. Please make your contributions.
Senior citizen from Zambia, Kitwe.
Senior citizens, make your contribution, sir.
Yeah, we're just going around circles. We all know people must be very careful. They should not pretend that all is well. ESL has died because of certain people, and we know them. And why should we start wasting time? The family is right. Let them bury in South Africa. We are all happy here and we are behind them. No one should tell the family that this, that, and that. No. Thank you very much. Oh, besides, there's a video doing rounds where Mr. Ganesha's Banda was interviewed. Kindly play it before you end, and it will give an insight to other people what has happened. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
How can you allow somebody who has murdered your son or your daughter and you are still mourning to come and attend the funeral and we were to speak at the funeral?
But how good your son,
was. And you know about it, you say, wait a minute, what's happening? And I think I can just say the whole thing, I summed it up when I spoke to one guy. I said, because how can you?
Good evening. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
Good evening, Ambassador.
Good evening.
Mutale is my name.
Mutale, please tell us, make your contributions.
Ambassador, is just a concern and later a contribution. The concern is over those clips that you are educating us. One of which is the president saying, "I don't like people who confront me." You know, the boastful type of attitude. Whatever bloggers and all these newspapers brought on is coming from the head of state himself. If those people, including the Daily Mail and from the newspapers today's newspapers, they were all on the side of the state, telling us that the body will be repatriated back to Zambia. Now, truth be told, what the Minister of International Relations from South Africa came for, he came to offer condolences to the head of state, which the head of state would have done going to South Africa, into South Africa to go and sit with the beloved family. Now, it was never done. So, as the country is right now, Ambassador, the country is bleeding. We are divided now more than ever. And this division, I don't think it will be mended, because of the certain attitudes of the so-called praise singers. You would even hear a person calling, saying, "No, it's PF that, PF that." Just know that this person doesn't even know what he's talking about. If really we hated the president, our Mr. Haga in the Hichilem, would we have voted for him? The answer is no. He got over 1.8 million votes. Did those votes come from the southern? We wanted these people to know that we're also human. And another posting that I saw today from Queen Coco, Queen Cobla, there was that post which said these guys are saying when they come back, we will make sure that we drive them to eastern and northern so that we have enough ground for our cattle to graze. Is that normal? Is that healthy? And when you talk, they say, no, cyber this, cyber that, cyber that. Surely, why should we bring in, laws that were in the colonial era, just because we want to silence certain individuals and certain regions? People from Northwestern and people from Western now, they are awake. They know what is on the ground. Let us be focused. And my last word to the president, he must have an ear to the ground. Let him know what is happening, what is going on the ground. Thank you, Ambassador.
Thank you very much. Good evening. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
I'm calling you. I'm Stephen Likua. I'm calling you from Solwezi.
Thank you, Stephen Likua from Solwezi. Make your contribution, sir.
Thank you very much. Quickly, I think just to say something over what is happening, according to what I have observed over the issue of our late president, I'm just surprised, on my own, I'm just surprised that the same people who hated Edgar Lungu, those who called him bad names, those who insulted him, even when he was in power and after he lost elections in 2021. We are Zambians and we have been following things. When he declared to come back in active politics, he was mocked, he was insulted, he was called a lot of names. Even when he was requesting to go to South Africa for medical checkups, others also They were even denying him access to go. But after Muntu Afwa, you find that the same people are the people who are crying for his body to come and be buried in Zambia. But with those people like me who loved him, who knew that he was a human being like any other human being, I think I can say that it's okay. Let the will of God, like the way it has happened to Shike South Africa, one day ECO will be brought back in Zambia. So, to those who say, no, Mushikeni Kokwine, just last week, Mushikeni Kokwine, we move on. Some of them have failed to move on. They still mock him. I think it's not right. So, to me, Natushike South Filafine Chirifia win. We don't need to talk much. But we know that those who are crying for his body to come are the people who hated him. That's the real life. I think those are just the few words I wanted to say.
Thank you very much, my brother. Thank you for your contributions. Thank you very much.
I was just mentioning to my conference president in the side room that leadership is not easy. It's assumed to be easy from a distance. It's pretty challenging.
Your nation as well.
Must be an interesting one. I'm not sure if South Africa has ever done this before, but to ultimately help in the burial of a former president of an African country then, in which the family has decided not to repatriate the body back to Zambia. How exactly does South Africa deal with this from a diplomatic point of view, considering Minister Lamula's visit as well to Lusaka?
And that was precisely the purpose of Minister Lamula's visit to Lusaka, to firstly share the country's condolences on the passing of President Lungu, and also to say that South Africa does acknowledge the importance of a nation burying their former president. However, at this stage, we are bound legally to follow what the family requires, and we would then have to leave it there with the family's obligations or the family's wishes. But this also comes on the back of us having the
please tell us your name and where you're calling us from. Hello, please tell us your name and where you're calling us from.
Okay, I'm calling from Lusaka.
Yes, thank you.
Is my name.
Okay, make your contributions.
You know, what's happening, it's very unfortunate. And one of the challenges we are having is that we are not being real to ourselves. In as much as we may find some faults on the government side, but we are not also looking on our end as PF. The challenge we have as PF, some of us have been supportive to Edgar Lungu since day one, and we've been loyal. But the challenge is that we haven't been real to ourselves. Because of bitterness, we are in this mess. The truth be said is that 2021, we never anticipated losing elections. We are very confident to the point that we did not do our preparations well. Even our mindset was not ready for a loss. So as a result, when we lost, we became very bitter towards Mr. Hakainde Hichilema, to the point that even when what he says is right, we'll try to twist it just to paint him blue and black. We are so bitter to the point that we are willing even to divide this nation just to prove a point. You know, you people, you need to realize that Zambia is bigger than a political party. Why is it that this death has brought in so much confusion to the point that the whole world is laughing at us? Some of us, we feel ashamed. You know, someone will call you, we have got business colleagues from other countries. They are laughing at us.
Why? It's because we as PF, the majority of our leaders in PF are bitter because we lost 2021. The real issue here is that people hate Hakainde Hichilema.
Thank you very much, my brother. Thank you very much. He's saying it's PF, but he says you people. I think it's not PF. But thank you for your view, my brother. We respect it. Yeah, let's continue with the cause is on the hour, and I'm taking the last cause. Hello, please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
Kanabesa Mwabombeni.
Endita Mwabombeni.
Mkwani nebo chibwe kuchirundu.
Mkwaiba chibwe kuchirundu. Make your contribution, sir.
Mkwai mwemfumu na ala supawira fena inewine.
Mkwai.
Pamfwa ya ba wesu ba Edgar Chagwa Lungu na paila ngapa sweka na paila ngapa kulunga nshi ba shikulu bali bombere mchalo echi. That's why ngamwana opposition iyo bakwete na bakwata opposition ikulu because of bashire bachite bashire babomba na fila ndira pakulu. That's why abengi ngabamona ngabachita compare ne file chitika na government ilipo yakoserera fyo kukaka abantu kutwala abantu kufifungo tabale bomba nangu mulimo nangu uli wonse. Then mukulekeresha ku South Africa natushikire ku South Africa ngatuwakwata umuntu wingesa tuteka pamo winga tuwesha pamo because ngamwaibukisha alo twali mu makampeni kwali kwa abantu abapere abalipo abali tutungulula ukuthi balekeshe Zambia Yesu kutira ibapa mu Christian nation twali umfuyire ko kwali ko kati koko nabe
Bane chapwa natasha sana bachirundu. I think you've made your point.
Naula apa ino nshtaniri yakwati twali ngamwamwana mu chipingo kwali kwati time ama judges bale tungulula ama judges olo bale tungulula nokufaya kwalesa yo alesonta lero ino nshite kutungurusho buna buperwa kuli bala abantu abakwe bati abataba kwataka tina kwalesa fyonze bachitapye mukufaya kwabo nabesa nabaleta masai balo fyonfine balanda ngatwalanda tingefine twashanda fo bachibwe balo bakatukonga bakese twipushatinga apa mwachitire mwalandire nshi fyonse fimanje chicharo bakaundolo baturwishiro buntunga bali tushirira tufureto yikala bonzi pamono kuchitofo turefwa.
Thank you, my brother. Thank you, my brother. Hello. Good evening. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
Good evening, Ambassador Mwamba. Good evening,
Thank you. Mkwai wakaputa wali mipera talk time. I have to connect you. A caller from the United States said they want to send talk time to you, so they are very grateful with your knowledge. Na batulondoleleko na lelo mayo.
Twatotela sana yakwai awo indefwa yasho kutotela abantu bonse n'entungurusha kufyalo kumbi abaku South Africa bonse abeshile mukulandishanyira bakateka wesu kuti babweshiyo mitima yaba family yabakateka wesu balungu abayashi ukutilete numbiri wabayashi ku Zambia wabakateka ku Zambia nomba fyakana fyafika pakutira balashika ku South Africa twatotela nacho chine kachibe fifine pantu abaina Zambia bengi nabalande efintu fyapusana ichakuluira sana ukutika n'omuntu amulipa chitumbi apalame ku mubiri ichikoselepo chakutira pamubiri wa uyu muntu wika palamapo bambya tindefo okupalamapo na bashike efifine techantanji na tushike efifine pantu ama politics yali bakwayatala kulaba okubutuka ko mukyalo bambi babwera lintu ubuteko bwachinja ngemo kyalola omubiri w'abalungu iri obuteeko bukachinja obubwa UPND bukaserepa kese bumbi tukaubwesha ku Zambia tukesashika mu muchinshi mukutemwa na muchipingo Joseph alila ili abana bakwe ati mukakolonganika amafupa yandi mukasende okubwesha pantu kali bali ku Egypt remember na Jacob wifi nawo wina alilanda ati mukakolonganika mafupa yandi mukasende ichi chachitika techeni chipya techipya chikaya muchipingo chaba what more pano pesonde fyozefole salelanga muchipingo aletulanga okwebatefe mwalaikalefe efe tamufuide okuikalefe katushipefye katukosefye mwemisepela mwelefu okuteka mind the way you treat each other in the offices. Let it just end here.
Thank you very much, Anonymous from Kaputa. Wonderful lady. She gives very detailed insight. Good evening. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
Ambassador, Anonymous.
Ba Anonymous, yo lansheni ko mkwai.
Ichabi paposana chakweba nti luli omuntu ali umumi mulemu kitatriti ifibi kuti mwayabula former president mwayamwikisha pandeke ule yamukumwanana na badokta nti bamundape mwayamwikisha pandeke muchinshuyo shuwa kuli yena ushe family na yena te bantu abakweba kuti kwibakalipe fifile ekitika luli omuntu afwere omwime ukweba ati yo tumupele state funeral efo fibumba ichabipisha kubipa emitima kubi sana ushoyo wine owatile amapolitics kubipa omutima ni nani uyo wine ichalo cha 20 million abantu ekyo tulefirwa okuwamya but nga chaisa kumapolitics kwikata abanobe kutinya abanobe kulabika kwa mafunda ya shikwete amano nombali nyapa balefayo okubika ama CCTV mu public washroom ushe muri amano nimbe ejo nya privacy ya musango shani ififi chitike uteko bulipo bwenogu na abafirwa tapali nefiri fyonso fo balejita kano fyo kukoselela ukuma n'abantu n'abatuletera omusebanya mukyalo ubisana.
Thank you.
Bali kwata fy'omutima fy'obubi eno tabaka kinje bantu nangu bali batakenye lule wasende ekifulo tekanya biko mutima panshi teke ekyalo teka abantu notule bula amaka abantu bakupere ule yabomfya ukulauma ukumana n'abanobe ulufyanya sana ikichena kyali kalipe kingatabeshibe kyali kalipafe sana natondera.
Thank you, Yole Samipali. Good evening. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from. Hello, good evening. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
Okay, Siame Felix here.
Dr. Siame Felix from South Africa. Make your contribution, sir.
Okay, I know the time is up, but at every level, Ambassador, leadership is tested. The Zambian political leadership is once again being tested, and they can rise above mediocrity and see and save themselves. Though I think it's too late. Most people that are working with His Excellency, I think I would say they've got dementia, because the things that people are saying here, just to support a few that have said many things that I can't talk about. It's like today you say something and tomorrow you don't follow it. And then you come back and say, no, I didn't say that. Now, when somebody passes chiro, which way that go pass, which means it's declared it's your chapwa. The next day you start complaining why they're not doing certain things. But it's already passed. The family kept their side of the bargain. Why can't people see this, plain fact that government defaulted or breached the contract or the signing that they did together with the family? I think we need to be honest. It's not about and this is beyond, like someone said earlier, this is beyond the political issue or party. It's about the government and it's about the country. If the people have seen that one part is wrong, it means that part is wrong. We can't keep saying the family. The family was willing to bring the body to Zambia in the first place. All of us followed. on social media, on news, and everywhere. So when people now, they say they've changed certain things and they highlighted all those things, why can't we just people say the family is got no problem? They are doing what they're supposed to have done, and it is their body anyway at the end of the day. So we need to come to a place of saying what is wrong by the government is wrong. What is right is right. In this case, they are wrong because they did not keep to what they promised, as always. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Felix Siame from South Africa. Our condolences. He lost his father, Judge Siame. And also condolences to the family of Mr. Jeff Chagwa. Mr. Jeff Chagwa is a Lusaka businessman. He was involved in the water and sanitation sector. You know, he was battling cancer the last 2 years, and we lost him the other day. May his, may the soul rest in eternal peace. Tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
Hello. Yes, this is Mr. Mwansaluka calling you from Solwezi.
Mwansaluka from Solwezi, make your contribution, Mr. Mwansaluka.
Yes, quickly, I just have some questions. These people, UPND government, they said Mr. Lungu is active in politics now. So we are scrapping off all his benefits. They scrapped off the benefits, medical benefits, everything from him. Now he's dead. They are crying that his body should come back and he should enjoy or being given the benefits, barrier benefits. I don't know what they call them. And which is a very surprising thing now. They are crying. I don't know what they want to do with the body. We don't know. So it's better they bury him in South Africa. What they are doing is not right. And they mistreated President Lungu. And we are not happy about it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And thank you for that call. I think all the rest of calls that are coming, again, I wish to apologize. A dear brother from UK says, a man purporting to be PF is not PF. You can hear in his voice, correct. Mr. David says, I'm Zambian by blood and Zimbabwean by birth. What Minister HH is doing is unfair and is politically motivated because the upcoming elections next year, knowing that they will lose support and vote if public mourns Honorable Lungu collectively. Hello, please tell us your name and where you're calling us from. We are really, really closing down.
I'm calling from Lusaka, or brother remain anonymous.
Mr. Anonymous, make your contributions quickly.
It has been said and done. I would want to talk about the previous call that called about to say the PF were wrong and the president, they should have sat down with the president and iron out these issues. One, do the UPND recognize the PF? No. They've got Chavinga that they recognize. So if it was Chavinga, maybe they would have recognized Chavinga and sent him to go and sit down with the family. We are not fools, no. We are tired of this UPND. Oh, they did that to the president. We all saw it. And everybody has seen what has happened. They shouldn't be like, people are not seeing what is happening. We've seen it all. Thank you so very much.
Thank you very much, Mwantu Wakolesa. We have to close. We remain with an empty grave in Lusaka, dug at Embassy Park. The president is likely to be put to rest in South Africa. A program will likely be issued, but the announcement is as firm. South African government has completed its diplomatic engagement with the Zambian government, and the Zambian government has been informed that the late president will be put to to rest in South Africa if the family requested. So the family has put it very clear that in the current circumstances, they'll put the remains of the late president in South Africa, and someday the remains of the late president will come to Zambia.
Let's not talk over each other. Let's talk to each other. That's the message. About everything. The welfare of the... Yeah, we can unblock the distortion in the salary scale. Easy. I am cultured different. I don't want people confronting me like this. Because where I grew up, we fear nothing. When you confront me, you're creating a problem there. But come and talk to me.
They've just stood aside.
Last send-off of their former statesman. What does this do in stripping a nation of having that opportunity of burying their former statesman?
Kato, I still say President Hakainde lost an opportunity to be the bigger man.
I am cultured different. I don't want people confronting me like this. Because where I grew up...
As we speak today, this is the 15th or 16th day after we lost our beloved 6th Republican president. No government official, and I say no government official, has visited Chifwema, the official mourning home of where Edgar Chagwa Lungu was residing. The president has not been to the funeral home. The vice president has not been to the funeral home. No minister has been to the funeral home. Not even the secretary to the cabinet. This is not how we mourn. Granted, trips were taken to go to South Africa, to go and engage the widow and engage the daughter, who at that time, with the sister of the late Edgar Chagwa Lungu, Betha, were the only relatives, perhaps, living in South Africa, who were with him. But here's the catch. Edgar Lungu was married to Mayowa Esther Lungu. Tasila is his daughter. There are other relatives. Betha is the immediate older sister, yes, but there are other relatives of Edgar Chagwa Lungu who were left behind here in Zambia. In my own small way, as a patriot, as a political leader, and wanting closure and trying to open up doors for this government, I did introduce family members to this government. Members of the family of Edgar Chagwa Lungu were engaged by this government. However, the meetings took place in government offices. This is not how it should be. We are not only educated, but we are also Africans. When we say we are mourning, and when you say you visited the funeral, it means you visited the funeral home. The mourners must not be the ones to move and come to a government office. That was again wrong.
If it's a felt need of the family, for example, that the president should not personally be in attendance. So what do we, why not delegate? Why not delegate? Why not delegate? Yes, it's awkward, but unusual situations, unusual circumstances may demand unusual responses. And it will appear, the problem that we have as human beings is that we think they now would have lost, then they have won. But sometimes backing down and then allowing certain things to happen may not necessarily be a loss. It could be actually a sign that you are greater than the other because you are ready to, to back down and give way, and for the sake of the greater good of the country.
Must be an interesting one. I'm not sure if South Africa has ever done this before, but to ultimately help in the burial of a former president of an African country then, in which the family has decided not to repatriate the body back to Zambia. How exactly does South Africa deal with this from a diplomatic point of view, considering Minister Lamula's visit as well to Lusaka.
And that was precisely the purpose of Minister Lamula's visit to Lusaka, to firstly share the country's condolences on the passing of President Lungu, and also to say that South Africa does acknowledge the importance of a nation burying their former president. However, at this stage, we are bound legally to follow what the family requires, and we would then have to leave it there with the family's obligations or the family's wishes. But this also comes on the back of us having legal obligations to honor the family's wishes as they are resident in South Africa. So that then comes with some attendant rights as well in terms of some various legislations that would apply in these processes. So that is where we stand on the matter. But it should not be seen in any way as us not wishing to respect the Zambian government's wishes or disrespectful to the Zambian nation as well.